Unmute, Rick.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. So roll call.
All board members are present this evening.
Okay. The agenda, I'd like to add because some last minute stuff. An item 10D, which is an activity center advertising contract for a program to help pay for their monthly or whatever their
Newsletter.
help pay for their newsletter. So that would be item 10D. And I don't see anything else that we need to change. Anybody else have anything? All right, then I'm going to make a motion to, I can't do that. Somebody's got to do that one for me. Motion to approve that agenda.
A motion to approve the agenda as correct, amended.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Vote, please.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mrs. Frederick?
Yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia?
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Hamel?
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so next item is consent agenda approval. I'm going to make the motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Vote, please.
Mrs. Cooper?
Cooper, yes.
Miss Frederick?
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia?
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis?
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
Mr. Hamel?
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, announcements. Township office will be closed Monday, January 15th in observance of Martin Luther King Day. And we're going to do a special joint meeting on Wednesday, January 24th with the Highland Township Board of Trustees, the Planning Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals, and the Downtown Development Authority. 6:30, I think is what we set up for the members attending, not for the public. Okay, here, yeah. Okay, so any public comment? Yes. Yeah. Turn you up here.
Troublemaker from way back. And so I was just coming up to introduce myself, say that my role is basically to be a contact for you all to the county for any needs you have, any questions. If you don't know who you need to talk to at the county, you can always come to me. And if you have any way that I can ever support, or you have no idea if I can support, please reach out and I'll be leaving my cards with everybody. Among the things that are going on in the county that I kind of wanted the board to be aware of is come on the 22nd, we'll be opening up applications for our Oakland Saves grants, which is using $5 million of ARPA money, that's American Rescue Plan Act money, in order to allow Oakland County constituents to receive up to $5,000 for home repairs and upgrades on energy efficient kind of projects. So that could be sealing up your home, windows, it could be your HVAC system, it could be adding a battery to your home. So at tier 1, which is income based over, depending on how many people in your home, it can be up to $5,000 for any percent of the project. For tier 2 is non-income based, up to $3,000 with up to the 20% of the project's total cost. And then there's also a third tier, which is when this money runs out, it will still have financing availability for those kinds of projects. So we will be putting out more information for how people can find out about how people can apply for this. But you can also go to Oakland Saves, you can go, which is michigansaves.org/Oakland Saves to find out all the information you're going to need. And that's going to be on the 22nd. So I want to make sure that the good people of Highland have got the heads up that this is coming down. And
Well, thank you.
yeah,
Appreciate
thank you
that
all.
very much. All right.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. All right, any other public comment?
I have a real quick announcement, just to update the board on our upcoming retirement of the bookkeeping lead person. And so we did interviews last week. We interviewed 5 people. We had some really qualified candidates. And we selected one and have given her an offer. I've got a letter there in front of you with some more details, and it's got a copy of her resume. So we don't have her acceptance back in hand yet, but she indicated she was wanting to pursue this with us. So we'll be excited to welcome her aboard as soon as we can and get her rolling. There should be a couple weeks overlap with Amy.
All right, great. Any other comments? All right, we'll move on. Next item was swearing in of a firefighter, but the firefighter is unable to make it. Okay, so we'll move on to pending business. Huh? Oh. Okay. Adoption of zoning ordinance amendment Z030, short-term rentals, farm markets, and other minor corrections. I think this is the type of conversation that I had Beth attend tonight. So if anybody has any questions about this, please bring up these questions now, because this is something we can vote into effect tonight, or we can postpone it if we feel that we need to do more research on it. But this is the start of trying to address the potential issue with VBROs and what do you call the other one? Airbnb, that is kind of plaguing communities all over. I know everybody likes to be able to rent places in recreational areas, but nobody ever planned on or understood that it would go to the level as it's going, where people are buying up houses all over the place just for rental units. So it's become quite a business. And we don't have anything in our ordinance to address it. And so in order to enforce anything, we have to say that we've got an ordinance to enforce it. So this is the first step in moving towards that. So is there anybody that has any questions on this? Jennifer?
So Beth, this is just in commercial and Highland Station district, or commercial industrial and Highland Station.
Yes, just to give the board a little bit more background of what the planning commission went through. There have been a number of complaints in the community about short-term rentals. It's not a widespread thing. It's not like every other house or anything, but there's probably been half a dozen of them. And this is a issue that the planning commission grappled with for probably Beth, 4 or 5 meetings, and couldn't come to a consensus of how to treat it in the residential areas. Because for everyone that has an argument in favor of it, there's another one who has an argument about how it's destroying the neighborhood. We've surveyed our neighboring communities. They don't know what to do with it yet either. There's been talk at the state about preempting local control. And so where the planning commission landed was, right now we're relying on Webster dictionary definitions and sort of a, you know it when you see it kind of loosely subjective definitions. This at least gives us a specific definition we can work from and a specific location only in commercial areas, Highland Station Business District and industrial, which believe it or not, there are some homes in the industrial district. And some commercial, there's some homes in the commercial districts. These are homes that either never successfully transitioned over to commercial activity, or maybe they've had lackluster performance as a house home front. So we're not saying that anyone can build a home for short-term rental in these districts, but if there is an existing home or an existing apartment in these districts, they could enter Sean Bell's rental program, get proper inspections and put their unit up for rent. Anything over 30 days is considered a long-term rental, and any house is eligible for that. These are specifically speaking to short-term rentals.
So the paperwork in the planning commission packet did say C1, C2, IM, but this only says C1 and Highland Station District.
But all the land uses that are permissible in the C1 district are
Mhm.
also permissible in the C2 district and the IM district.
Okay. So we
Well,
wouldn't
C-
have to add to those ones?
No, there's a blanket statement in the use list for C2 and IM that says it also includes the uses in the lesser districts.
All right, anybody else have any questions on that? So on the 24th, this is one of the topics that I think we're gonna bring up as a group. Because this has some really far-reaching consequences and to give an example, my family, I should say my wife's family, has a house up on Mullet Lake. And it belonged to my father-in-law. It's now his son lives in Kentucky and uses that house as a Airbnb, and it's on a very restricted end of a road, no parking, and that thing is rented from the beginning of May until the end of October. And the neighbors hate it. But you've got Indian River up there and they have no rules against Airbnbs, and yet Airbnb is one of their key elements for getting people to be able to recreate in their communities. So this is the kind of thing that we have to watch for. And I think this is going to be really critical that we get on this and start thinking about it on a broader perspective. I really don't like putting any additional restrictions on people in their property, but if we don't control it some way, or at least have means to be able to do some type of enforcement for abuse, then we'll be the victims as a board of the public's rage against us for not handling this. And this is the kind of thing that's I treat it like a perennial plant or a perennial vine. First year it sleeps, the second year it creeps, and the third year it leaps. And this is the kind of thing that it suddenly will be upon us. And if you read the letter from Mr. Fall, the irony is he has one house. This is kind of a thing that was enticed by him. And he states in there, be careful, because the projections are that particular corporations will be purchasing homes. And that's specifically what they're for. And when you start looking at the differential between rent and Airbnb rates, it's phenomenal return on your investment. So people with some spare money, instead of building strip malls and finding some other type of business, can buy a house and let Airbnb or VBRO manage it. That's pretty simple. And that can be catastrophic because they'll take no responsibility for anything that happens there. They're just your management numbers to get your rentals, and the rest is on the township to see that it handled appropriately. So this will be critical. I think that from the aspect of a start, this is a start. It doesn't do anything beyond start, but we need to get a start. So we can delay it, but all that's going to do is add to the mud. later, I think. So I,
What this does do, once it's on the books, is there have been a couple that have become a problem. This would strengthen our position if we did have to go after enforcement of a short-term rental, like a party house on a lake or so. There are two other things in that ordinance, just so you don't think it's just about Airbnb too.
Right.
The one's a real simple thing to allow classes in the Class B farm market, which are site plan based farm market, direct to consumer operations like Ridgemere Farms that Kelly Kalasani started up on.
I do.
Yeah, or Fuller's Tomato House, you know, those kinds of small places. They could have a class without having to have a special use hearing to have a class. That's consistent with Michigan Department of Agriculture's GAMPS. So that's just a catching up with, you know, where that issue's gone in the state. And then just some cleanup things in there too.
What's the definition of short term?
We adopted where we proposed to adopt the same definition that I guess the lobbyists probably were pushing at the state, which was 30 days or less is a short-term rental. More than 30 days becomes a long-term rental. So this was the definition the state was looking at putting into legislature, even when they take it up.
B&Bs used to be something where, you know, I had my house and I let somebody stay in a room and gave them a breakfast. Is that what we're talking about or beyond
No,
that? Okay,
we're talking
beyond that. Okay.
Absentee landlord. Not there to control anything. Strictly 100% business. It is not intended to be a welcome to my house. Let me treat you to a nice breakfast and a cool place to stay. It's here's a cool place to stay and have fun.
So it is a commercial business.
Right.
Okay.
So it has some other connotations to it in a big way, especially, you know, if you were a large lot, you know, like we could go back to the Red Poppy, probably it wouldn't have any impact on anybody because you got 12 acres there and you're probably not going to raise too much of a ruckus where people are going to have a problem with it. But when you've got the lakefronts that we have and non-conforming lot sizes, where you can't even park cars. Most of the houses don't even have enough for 2 cars, and then, you know, they jam boat trailers all over their lawns, which are, you know, the size of the space in here. So now what do? You got people parking in other people's front yards and partying all night long, and not all the time, but I mean, it happens.
The first time this was ever presented to us was Chevron Drive. It was a party house in Exford Acres. And we struggled with trying to get anything happening there for well over a year.
And I actually saw, which I was quite surprised, I saw a commercial where it was either Airbnb or VBRO, and they promoted the family party. And they showed people having a good time, you know, and dozens of people, you know, so that's the promotion that you're getting on national TV. Their own way of supporting it is that it's not just, you know, a couple people renting it, it's an entire family event or bring all your college roommates together and go party and leave it, you know. So it's not, in my opinion, getting presented very well when those companies are actually creating the problem themselves by suggesting a use. And so, all right, so we've kind of discussed it before any motion was made. So I'm going to make a motion to approve the zoning
Adopting
adopting
ordinance.
zoning ordinance Z030 short-term rentals, farm markets, and other minor corrections as presented.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Vote, please.
I have one more question.
Sure.
So basically I'm just asking you personally, are you comfortable obviously you're comfortable passing this tonight as opposed to waiting for the discussion.
Yes, I'd rather have something started.
Because this is definition, we can always expand on it.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
When you say something started, what do you mean?
Well, right now, there's no ordinance. Beth, you wanna let Beth take?
Planning Commission knows they're not done with this work. But they know if we adopt this, we've got a better handle on being able to enforce if there's an issue beforehand. There's still a lot of research to do. Matt and I were talking before the meeting. Matt's got significant experience in the state of Michigan with this issue. We haven't really pulled on, Rosati's firm's experience on this yet. We've talked to the planners, but
I could just jump in too on where you're at right now. This is very much consistent with the types of ordinances that are being upheld at the state and federal level. This reminds me of what just went through in New Buffalo. I handled the litigation over there. They were limiting short-term rentals to commercial districts, banning them in residential. And then using the 30-day definition that went through that stood up against a federal lawsuit. What we're seeing in the state level too is a consistent set of cases saying that short-term rentals are commercial uses. They aren't by nature part of a single family residential zoning district, and that communities and neighborhood associations, to the extent they have bylaws, can prohibit them from residential areas. So I think to the extent that this is a start of your journey in this area, this is a very good start that's very defendable.
So I think a good example, of course, most people haven't been there except myself, is Nashville, Indiana, which the DDA used as an example for what could downtown Highland be like. Nashville, Indiana is kind of more like Milford. But their downtown is comprised of a combination of homes and businesses, but it really is geared towards tourism. So by having the Airbnbs or these homes in the commercial district, it opens up the door to be able to have those people come from out of town. They can do weddings there in the the community facilities that are available to them. So it opens the door by saying the DDA district is a good potential place for that. Even though why would you rent a place here in downtown Highland? Well, because maybe you have some more things there than just lakes and streams. So this kind of starts in that mode. And I think it's a good application for it. So, all right. So we've had a motion and somebody supported down there. Beth did. Any other questions on that? All right, so we'll have an opportunity to really discuss this more on the 24th, which I think will be a good opportunity. Then everybody's hearing the same thing and can pitch in. All right, so vote please.
Ms. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
Yeah, one thing I never did was okay, hold on here. Didn't do this part. You guys are not that you're seeing anything other than us, but okay, next item is Township newsletter. Now last month we we postponed it until this meeting because we were talking about a contract with a company called LPI to produce a newsletter. And in the process of my office looking at this and saying, okay, we've hired somebody, Tina, who's in Lloyd, who's our new marketing director, I guess you'd call it. I don't know what title did we give you? Communications. I mean, there we go. It'll morph, don't worry. So anyways, we started to look at it, and one of the things is that and personally, if you get the monthly shopper in your mailbox, that was kind of what this thing was going to end up looking like, was a monthly shopper, even though you do a nicer job maybe than they're spending on their thing, but it's basically a document full of advertising with information from Highland dispersed through it. The idea is that would help pay for the cost of the printing, but what ends up happening is we come up with the ideas and we would send the what types of things we'd like to have in there, but they have the right to be able to squish and squeeze to fit their advertising in, because they make their money off their advertising. So we did some research on the cost, and we figured out that if we did the product in-house, that for actually I think a little bit less than what they would cost, we can produce the same product with no advertising. And so at your desk is the first sample. It's not finished product by any means, but it's to give you an idea of where we're coming from, what we'd like to see. And Tina, you want to come up and give you an opportunity. Anybody has any questions? But I just want to, number one, put you on the spot a little bit, because I told you I'd make you nervous one way or another, didn't I? Not put you on the spot, but I want everybody to understand that in less than a month, this is what Tina's already helped push this thing through. She's been working diligently. She's been learning the software to be able to produce these. She's been out about the town, taking pictures. All of the pictures in this document come from Highland. And they're either by Highland photographers or us. And so I think this is a really good opportunity to be able to say how important this document is. So Tina, you want to go through the document and just kind of explain how we got where we're at?
Yes. So like Rick said, I'm.
Hold the
Tina Lloyd.
microphone just up to you some. You can pull on it. Lift it up. There you go.
Hello. Like Rick said, I'm Tina Lloyd. I'm the communications and community engagement specialist here at the township. I'm in my 4th week here, so I'm really liking the position, and they've definitely put me to work. So I am here tonight to update you on the publication that we've been working on. I've been working with Cassie Blathick and of course Rick on Naturally Connected, which you have in front of you. This is a very rough draft of what we've been working on. As Rick has mentioned, and as you probably know, we have decided to do this in-house. There's a lot of benefits to that, which I think that hopefully you'll agree with. What we'll get from doing this in-house, you may wonder, we want to be able to have complete control aesthetically with this publication. We want it printed locally. We want something that's not full of ads. So many times you get these publications and you can't find the actual article that you're looking for because it's drowned in these ads, and that's not what we want. And we feel that if we did hire this out, that's exactly what would be pushed. So I'm guessing most of you have seen something like that in a publication, or just an example of something that's gone wrong. The font is off, the picture is stretched, so the faces look weird, the color bleeds. Like I said, the article is lost in a sea of ads. So those are things that we do not want to risk if we rented this out or hired this out, I guess. So we want to keep this in-house. So I guess this is just, like I said, a rough draft. Other ideas that you would see in this publication include the history of Highland, different events, spotlights, new businesses, local park features, things to do in Highland, farmers market information. This publication will be 28 to 32 pages, which we have quickly filled up. We have basically all of those pages filled up. We're just going to rework them. So that is what we've got so far for you. Like Rick said, The photographs in this will be from local photographers who have been sending us in all of these wonderful photographs throughout, I guess, well, not this year, but last year as well. So they're beautiful. We're going to give credit to all of these photographers. We might actually do something where we do a little photography contest of some sort where you're featured in the next publication. So that will be fun for people to page through and look for that. If you see on the last page, we've been working a little bit with Highland Kindness. We thought we would save the last page for Highland Kindness form where you can nominate somebody who is doing something wonderful for the community, and you can actually rip that page off and send that page in. So that is just a little example. We were just kind of throwing things in there. So don't mind the grammar and some of it is just an example. So that's that. Other things that we've been working on a new website. I'm not sure if we talked about that yet, but it is almost done. In the next couple of days, we've been working with Christy Shelley at Web Matters, and Cassie has been working her tail off on this one too. All of us, I guess, have, but Cassie has been great at really leading this one. So a couple more edits on that, and I think we're set. We've also been working on our social media, basically Facebook page. We're trying to make it a more personal experience for people. It's a great Facebook page. We have over 2,000 followers, and we're really trying to bring the community in together and see how great Highland is. So we're really trying to show them the why of Highland, the why to hike here, why to hike here and then go out to lunch, and then why to go shopping afterwards, or why to come and visit and then decide to move here because it's a beautiful place to be. So that's what we've been working on with the social media. On Wednesday, I'm going to attend the first community roundtable meeting. Tammy's going to help me through that one. So I'll be there after this meeting on Wednesday, representing the township and hopefully helping brainstorm some really good ideas for the community. If you have any questions, I gave each of you my card. You can email either Cassie or I. And I think that is the best way to get the most accurate answers for the questions regarding the publication, because I am under Cassie's wing right now and she's teaching me a lot. So that's all I have for tonight.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. If fish could talk, they'd tell you how much is happening in Highland. So that's my little friend there. I did catch and release. I didn't eat them. So I want to say that this is, I won't say the culmination, but this is really the results of the community roundtable, which was started a number of years ago. Judy's, myself, and Tammy's been on it for a while, and the first thing we did was our branding. So that branding needed a home. Now it's got a township hall, and we've got with this opportunity with this publication, by not including advertising and other stuff, I'm going to call them, some of it could be detritus if you want to call it, that gets in the way of space that you can use to say what you need to say. And that was always the problem with the newspaper. You were limited to, I'm way more than 820 words. That's the limit of an article, so this gives an opportunity. If we've got something we want people to know, we can get it out to every single home that way. The Airbnb issue. This is a perfect opportunity to get into everybody's door and introduce the scenario, get some feedback from it. Also let people know if you're thinking about buying houses here and turn them into Airbnbs, you might want to stop in and talk to us first. Don't start with the purchase and then find out you can't do it and be mad at us for it. So this is just an excellent opportunity for that. And it's not just to be frou-frou and make us look cool. It also does another thing, and I think that Cassie and Tina are doing a great job with this. The Planning Commission and their survey that they did and all of the conversations I had with people, Highland Townships, the expectation of Highland Township or their vision of Highland Township is a rural community. And this document is the perfect opportunity to get people to continue to see that over and over and over again by the types of images that we can present to people. So by presenting these calm, cool images of Highland that are there and real, 100% real, we can maintain that attitude with our constituents, because the first thing that happens, you start to lose that. And now we're no longer Highland Township. We've lost our identity. We're just an extension of the M59 creep and crawl, and we're being compressed on two sides right now. And we need to be the stewards that maintain the scenic corridor on M59. People go through, wow, why is that there? You know, I got to see why this exists. You know, so this is a good opportunity. So, Tina, thank you very much. And I don't know if we need to say any more, or we need to make an approval to move forward. I just, we haven't done it yet, but we did cost out the printing and the mailing.
Right on, like, right where the might be a little less. I don't want to put it.
Yeah.
But us doing it in-house is very similar. We just have more.
Yeah,
What
so
was the cost?
it was around, I want to say 8,000. I want to say 8,000 per printing. I don't know if that includes postage. I think that was just printing. So we're looking at doing 2 issues a year to start with. We also put small trifold brochures in the tax bills twice a year. So this gets us communicating quarterly. And I think this is so important because of the lack of newspaper that we have right now. People just do not have any clue of what is happening. And we need some serious people catching what's going on here.
Even if we need to ramp it up to 3 times a year, or a special issue or something where we need to get something out. The difference was we had quotes from a couple different printers. One was around 11,000, I think, and the other one was 6,000. So that's 2,000 less than it was, less than the LPI. And then of course you've got the mailing, which I think probably is going to be 3,500 or somewhere in that
Thank you.
category.
Thank you.
All right.
I'd say one thing. I was saying the same thing when Tammy said what she said, because, you know, we had this final column was great because everybody got one and it was amazing. And then of course that went away. And I agree, there's nothing now. It's like Milford Times has nothing in it local. I mean, I understand why what they do, but we need to have something here that people can get information from, if nothing else, because there's only so much out there on Facebook and whatever. At least everybody will get a chance to, whether they read it or not, but it's there, so you can get it to them, and that's important. So very good. This looks great.
All right. Tina, thank you. Very impressive. It was exciting because we were trying to get it printed, and Tina's new at that, and in terms of our system, and Cassie didn't have the time to figure out how to make it work on her piece of software, so I jumped in to put it into my stuff and get the thing assembled so that we could get it printed out. And it took most of the day, and I spent most of it trying to make the printer talk to the computer. So, but it's not for us to print. We'll make the copy. We just wanted to have something that's as close to the finished product as we could, and I think this is pretty close to it. So
This newsletter could be electronic for distribution to all our residents, correct?
yeah,
Which would save a lot of printing and mailing.
except that you have to have their email addresses.
That's obtainable. You can get it. You start sending
Right.
notices out if you'd like to.
So we need that in your face, in your door. Hold on to it, refer back to it, because it's going to have a lot of time carrying information. In other words, information is going to be valuable over time that you don't have to go back to, but it's still
Our
digitally.
communications person can figure out a way to get the message out to our residents to send in their email addresses.
Yep. So if they lost their copy, we can tell them to go on our website and download a copy. You know, that's easy to do.
We currently do a electronic newsletter and people do sign up. We put it out there and once you visit our website, you get a notice that says if you want to have our, and people still want a paper copy. We've heard both ways.
So maybe we can go around and take a picture of every single resident and then they can have an issue, their picture in an issue. You know, it's like a yearbook or something at school. No, I don't know. I don't think so. All right. So, thank you guys. Appreciate it. And, I'm looking forward to, seeing some really cool stuff come. And it won't be where one of us up here has to manage it, you know. Tammy had to work hard. I worked hard for years. Judy, you know, we all have done things, Jenny, to try and make something like this happen. Way back when, I was the one that talked Jim Stevenson into keeping the newspaper alive in the first place. So we kept them as long as we could, but the newspaper industry has changed. Now we have to be the ones responsible. So if we want to get our voice out there, we now have a way to do it. So, thank you. Appreciate it. So we'll move on. This is an introduction, new business ordinance. I didn't skip anything, did I know? Introduce board ordinance 472 private road ordinance amendment. The purpose of this amendment is that when you have an opportunity to build a private road, which would involve multiple homes. The way the ordinance is written right now, you'd be required to put your base coat. Let's say if you're doing a pavement, you have to put your base coat in and your final coat, regardless of whether you have any houses built. Well, that doesn't make any sense because now you start bringing in bulldozers and heavy equipment and you kind of put a heavy load on not only the base coat, but the finish coat. Now that the developer has completed their responsibility and you may end up with a road that's beat to pieces before it's even put to use. So this is an opportunity to be able to allow developers to rearrange the language so that it offers that opportunity. Now, it does require that, you know, basically a bond or the amount of money is set aside and put into escrow and turned over to the HOA or the whatever group is responsible for the development for a later date to do that. So that's the essence of this. I think it's important. And I'm going to make a motion that we approve or introduce. It's not approve it, introduce it.
Support, Sylvia.
Okay, any discussion on that? Did I do a good job, Beth, of you got anything to say? All right, so vote please.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Salvia,
Sylvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe.
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Ms. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
Okay, the next item is South Bay Shores well site. Most people don't realize that we used to have a well as a part of our water system that was in South Bay Shores, which is located on the north side of East Wardlow. And in your packet, Beth did a pretty good job of detailing out what they're looking for. What is the HOA? Because we abandoned the well, it's no longer a part of the water system because the water was really it wasn't a good well. So South Bay Shores, the homeowners, it's an empty lot and there's a couple of ways you can look at it. We own it. The township owns it. So that means we should probably be maintaining it. And the question is, do we want to be the owners of a lot in a subdivision that we have to maintain that we have no basis for really owning other than there was a well there at one time? So this is a request from the HOA to have us turn this property over. Beth, you want to add to that?
At first, they wanted to be able to make another home site there, but we've already got some physical barriers to them using it for anything other than passive recreation, like there's water main stuck still in the middle of the lot. There's drainage easement across there. And they already used up the density in the number of lots that they were able to achieve on the parent parcel that began with. So we talked to Lisa and asked her to start the work on transfer agreement papers. And she thought we needed title work. Now we started to talk about some real money. So we thought this should come to you for nod that, yeah, you're ready to transfer the property, because we hadn't ever asked you if you're ready to transfer the property. So it's seemed premature to spend their money on the paperwork to transfer property that you hadn't even discussed. So that's why it's here tonight.
All right, so if you look at the pictures on it, what's interesting, and part of the reason why turning it to a home site is that they already have a drive that goes down to a dock, and that whole parcel is considered a park. Not the parcel that's, if you look at the image that's outlined in blue, that's the one we're talking about, but they would have that drive that would still go through. But I think that all of the rationale behind not allowing it as a home site is fine with me. And I think that the other side of it is we don't need to be owning it. And so I think that what I'll do is I'll make a motion to approve to sell or transfer. How do we, there's no reason to.
You'd really be agreeing, I think, to do the due diligence to prepare the property for transfer to the HOA. If you want to ask them for real money, that's something that they probably want to know now instead of after you've spent their $2,000 on the due diligence. The property originally was part of the parent parcel, was transferred for $1 to the Oakland County Water Resources Commission, quit claim to us. We don't really have any money into this property, but that's why we asked for an escrow for them to cover the expense, the attorney expenses and the title work expenses, because it shouldn't cost us any money to give it to them either. But if you want to get an appraisal, and
Basically cover our cost.
that was staff's thought, but
Yeah, and
it's your asset.
And I think the other way to look at it, if we're gonna put an encumbrance that says you can't build on it, then why would they want to pay for it? You know, as a parkland, that it's open space. It benefits the community as a whole because it maintains a little bit of open space. But we're encumbering it with the inability to be able to sell it. So I think that the right terminology, Beth, you said it, and that was to
Do the due diligence to prepare the property for transfer.
that would be my motion. To do the diligence to prepare to transfer the property.
Cooper support.
Okay, so on that note, let's vote.
Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis. Lewis, yes. Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Ms. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes. Mr. Hamel,
Hamel, yes.
motion carries.
Okay, the next item is I'll do some preface on this here. When Jennifer took over the office and Karen Jensen was her deputy, there was the anticipation at some point in time she'd be leaving. And when she made that choice, I don't think we really thought about her coming back to help out. And guess what? We need help. And So Karen has come back, but what we had done earlier in September was to approve her as seasonal part-time at $23 an hour. And the reality is that her expertise is far greater than that amount. And I think Jennifer has benefited incredibly in this. And it's not that we're hiring her back for 29 hours a week. It's that she wouldn't work more than 29 hours a week. And she's not going to work all the time. It's just when we need somebody to come in and either fill in during a heavy workload period. And it's definitely going to be a scenario where when we get a new bookkeeper, we're going to have somebody that understands the level that Karen was trained to. And not that Chantel doesn't know that, but she doesn't know all that stuff. So this is the opportunity to be able to share Karen Jensen's intelligence and skill sets. And so Jennifer would like to see her, and I don't disagree with this, to see her paid at a respectable pay of $35 per hour for her years of expertise.
So this is not, she'll be an employee or a consultant.
She's currently on payroll at the lower rate, and so she would continue as an employee, just at a higher rate.
Okay, so I said I'd do speed motion. So I'm going to make the motion that we approve the request that Karen Jensen's hourly rate be increased to $35 per hour.
Support.
And that the 28 hours that she worked, that it be at $35 an hour, not 23.
Correct.
Support.
Thank you.
Retroactive to September 2023. Retroactive to whatever that approval, whenever we made that approval. Was the first September, the board meeting or whatever. So yes. All right, so that was a motion.
Brian supported.
Okay, move to supported vote, please.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Miss Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Salvia,
Sylvia, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
And well, yes.
Motion carries.
So the old adage, you put in a parking lot, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. Well, Karen, you don't know what you got till she's gone. So appreciate very much that you guys see the value in her helping us here and wanting to help us. That's very important. So thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Next item is what we added, the activity center advertising contract. That was written and approved by our attorney. And you'll see on the desk there a copy. And the purpose of this is so that the activity center, which sends out a monthly newsletter, which is way more than we do, we're planning to, needs to have a little bit of more resource to cover the cost. And Heidi would like to sell advertising. She's done it before. She was working with that LPI, and she wants to move away from them and do it in-house like we're doing it, but she wants the revenue to be able to help cover that. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve the newsletter ad agreement as presented by our attorney for the activity center.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Any questions?
Of course, I have a question. How often is the newsletter printed? Is that bi-monthly?
Yes.
Okay, it just didn't state that anywhere, so I didn't know what the full year entailed. So it'd be like 6.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
Okay, so moved and supported. Vote please.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Ms. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
All right, so at this point, I'm gonna make a motion that we go into closed session to discuss a settlement strategy in the Scott Roads v. Charter Township of Highland.
Cooper, support.
I don't know if I gotta put a time on it or not. I don't think so. Okay, moved and supported. Vote please.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Ms. Frederick,
Frederick, yes.
Clerk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so those that are following us on Zoom, the recording will end at this time and there's nothing else that will come after this closed session. So essentially, we'll come back out of closed session and immediately adjourn. So don't sit and wait for us to come back because there won't be anything to do. So thanks for attending. And at this point, we're going to go into closed session. No. Okay, we returned from closed session and I'm gonna turn the mic over to the attorney. Would you get that up to you and push the button?
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion to return to session.
Motion to return to session.
Support. Okay, moved and supported. Vote please.
Ms. Frederick,
Yes.
Mrs. or Clerk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Salvia,
Salvia, yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, we'll move forward. I'm gonna turn the mic over to the attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. At this point, I would ask the board for a motion to proceed as discussed at closed session regarding Scott Roads v. Charter Township of Highland.
Okay, well, I will make that a motion.
Cooper, support.
Okay, moved and supported. Vote please.
Clerk Flowers votes yes, Mr. Salvia,
Yes.
Mrs. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Howe,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Cooper, yes.
Ms. Frederick,
Yes.
Mr. Hamel.
Hamel, yes. Okay,
Motion carries.
on that note, meeting adjourned.